This show is brought to you today by Brighter Future Credit Restoration. Get your credit together, people. Thank you guys for joining the Melting Pot Chats with Denise. I'm Denise, of course. Listen, it has been a week, it has been a month, it has been a year. There is so much stuff that has been going on. And what we're going to talk about first, we got a lot going on in the show, first of all. We got a lot going on with the show today. First thing we're going to talk about what's sizzling in the news or what's happening in the news that's hot. Well, honey, there's a lot that's going on, let me tell you. First thing, Karens, the Karens are still caring about the wrong thing. So I've been seeing a lot of that going on Instagram, on Facebook. They're still performing with no audience. So we have that going on. We also have the COVID numbers are like rising. They're still going up. We have to do better, people. We need to wear our masks. We need to be 6 feet, do the 6 feet distance apart from everyone. We need to make sure that you're doing what you did as a kid. Wash your hands. Keep those hands clean. And if you don't have to go out, don't go out. And if you do, just please be cautious about where you go and don't go to these parties and clubs. I did notice that some of the clubs, why are y'all opening? And y'all going in those places. I couldn't understand that, but hey, let's not do that. Let's be cautious and conscious as to what we're doing, because there's a lot that's going on here. And these numbers are not coming down right now, they're rising. And we really want to get a hold of those numbers and make them come down. And we have to do our part by, like I said, wear your mask and stay 6 feet away from folks. Because right now it seems like that 6 feet thing or wearing a mask is like a tagline for social media. No, people, it's not a tagline. It's something that we need to be doing. Stay 6 feet from behind, wear your mask, and please stay safe and healthy. The other thing that's going on, well, Kanye, yeah, Jesus. They said he's running for president. I don't understand, but we ain't gonna dwell on that long because there's other things that's going on, like Black Lives Matter. We still pushing for racial equality on that. So still doing protesting. Things are still happening in that arena. Also, we have I find out too, good news, with this COVID and with this quarantine, people, I've been seeing you, I've been watching you. You know what I've been seeing? Some great talent out there. You guys have been really doing some things. I've been seeing a lot of folks doing some home improvements. I have some friends that's actually now, I guess they're interior decorators. They found out they have some new tasks and some new skills that they've been testing out, which is great and wonderful. Also, I've been seeing that a lot of people are eating healthier by cooking their own meals and going into the kitchen, making that pot noise and cooking up some good meals and not going out to eat as often, because with the restaurants, still they're open, I get that, but I think a lot of people are still being fearful of going into the restaurants during this COVID time. And then also the talent that I've been seeing. Now let me tell you about TikTok has had me one time at night. I was scrolling through them. I know to a point where they had a special message that came on that says, you need to stop scrolling so much. That was me. But y'all been doing so many good things out there. I've been seeing, like I said, I've been seeing the cooking, I've been seeing dancing routines and all these hashtags, dance movements, and I found myself trying to make one happen in my car, but that was a disaster. That didn't work too well, but that's okay. So all those things, I am proud of you guys for maximizing the time and the space that you're currently in, because I know it's been very challenging at times. I get that, because this is our new normal for right now. We're not able to go to a lot of places, we're not able to travel a lot, but you guys have really been doing some fun things and finding some innovative things to maximize your time. The other thing that I also find, which is really great, financial stability. I see you guys are making it happen in your pockets, because you're not going out eating, you're not going out to the clubs, and you're not doing a lot of traveling. So I've been seeing a lot of people turning that money into investing. So that is good. Good thing about that. So keep doing that power investment, keep building your finances and building that wealth in yourself, with your family, and your community. That is a great thing. Now, what we got coming on for the show? I have a guest that's going to come onto the show a little bit later. Her name is Lateka S. Carter. She's got a word for you guys. We're going to be talking about building ships. No, I'm not talking about like the Carnival Cruise Lines. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about Royal Caribbean. She's going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about how to build healthy, strong friendships, relationships, all those things that matters and that can help us be better. Now, I'm going to start doing like a couple of segments, like segment 1, which is today is the building the ships, and then I'll do another segment that's going to also bring about the men and the female. We talked about this in the last show. If you caught the last show, you know I talked about that I will be doing a panel with men and women to talk about relationships so we can get a better understanding of each other's dynamics and how we can build stronger and healthier relationships. So this is going to be the first segment of that. She's going to come out in a little bit and we're going to talk about that. And then after that show, after that piece of the segment, then we got a new segment that I'm also bringing. It's called Denise Styles for You. Yes. Now everybody knows me. I love fashion. And I also love fashion on a budget. I don't want it to hurt your pocket. So I'm going to talk about how you can be stylish and look great and add colors to your wardrobe and things you wouldn't think about how you can style. I'm going to help you put those pieces together. We'll talk about that a little bit. So just stay tuned for that towards the end of the show. But right now, just sit back. Go get you your wine. Like I said before, get your wine. Get whatever you're going to get to drink, your water. Because coming up is Lateka S. Carter, and we're going to be talking about building stronger ships. So stay tuned. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Thanks. Thank you guys for tuning back into the Melting Pot Chat with Denise. This segment is being brought to you by the Brighter Future Credit Restoration. Get your credit right, folks. Listen, we have our guest here, Lateka S. Carter. I'm so excited. Hey, girl.
Hi, girl.
I'm so glad she's here. But listen, let me give you a little small background about Miss Lateka. But she's going to give you the full 411 because this lady is powerful, and she's going to help talk about what I said earlier, the building stronger ships. Now, Lateka, she is a gifted, spiritual, just a beautiful soul. She also is a author, as well as a filmmaker, as well as she has her own talk show, and she's going to dive in and tell us a little bit more about Lateka.
You just put me on the spot.
I did, but look at her, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. So tell us a little bit more about Lateka before we get into the meat of today.
Sure. So first and foremost, thank you so much, Denise, for having me on your show and thinking of me to bring me on the Melting Pot. I'm excited to see what it's going to do, the lives that it's going to touch, and how you're going to grow through this. So I'm excited for you. Basically, it's kind of hard to talk about yourself sometimes, but when you're put in positions like this, you have to do that. So I like to kind of put a spin on it the way that God gave it to me. When your hands are touching a little bit of this, a little bit of that, He said to me that I'm synergistically gifted to provoke change. So with that being said, I'm self-published author.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
And I've had a couple different talk shows. So let me just quickly run through the list so I don't get all jumbled around based on what you were sharing with me. Basically in 2012, I kind of moved into my own radio show. That was called the Divas Connections. And that came from a place of how I tried to commit suicide before all of that happened, and God wouldn't allow me to die, so I just wanted to be in the background, and here it is. He started allowing those gifts that were inside of me to start moving forward. So with that being said, I moved from radio to having my own TV show, then moved into film, and of course I migrated to Atlanta, Georgia in 2015. So in just 3 years, God started doing those things for me. And now here it is, I'm here in Atlanta. I have my own ministry. It's called Lateka S. Carter Ministries. My own business is Kingdom Design and Production. And I'm blessed to be able to help people in those areas of need, whether it be business or it be soul, spirit form.
I like that. So one of the things about Lateka that really drew me to her, again, is that energy that she had, that spirit, and she talked about her book, and she talked about her being a self-publisher, as well as having her own talk show and that sort of thing. And she has a lot of things that she's going to talk about that's going to connect to the subject of building stronger shifts. Now, you mentioned you've been here for how long again?
Since 2015.
2015.
Yes.
So prior to coming to Atlanta, where were you residing?
I was residing in Greensboro, North Carolina via Charlotte, North Carolina. That was a place I had to go when I tried to commit suicide. And when I lived in Charlotte, because we'll get into the ships part that will help navigate the ship to bring us home.
Yes,
But nonetheless, I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, wanted to be in the background, but God let me know He was going to use that to help get me together.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's important that we allow, sometimes it's all the time important that we allow God to do whatever He has to do for us and in us. But even when we don't understand what's going on with us, to be able to allow God to order our steps even to a place that we don't want to be or go, because I did that and I was like, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go. I was mad.
Well,
but look what He did.
Yes,
you know, He allowed those gifts and those talents to start coming out.
Yeah. So during that time of when, I like to call it when those seeds were being implanted into the ground, and that time when we're like, well, no, this is not where I want to go. I don't want to be there. But you have just blossomed and grown, and those gifts and talents have really sprouted out. So tell me what some of the other gifts and talents you have. So I know you talked about, again, your book, you talked about your ministry. Yeah. So let's talk about that.
That's huge.
Yeah.
You know, because we have to understand there's a purpose on the inside of us. There are gifts, there are talents on the inside of us. And we go through life, especially now, you have people who are going through life not feeling as if they're supposed to be here. They ask those questions such as, why am I here? Does my life even matter? And yes, their life matters. And I too, I was one of those people. With everything that I had gone through, those words that I'm sure you're going to be able to agree to, it's not fair, right? How we can say that, it's not fair that I go through X, Y, and Z. Why did this have to happen to me? Are you picking on me? You know, I mean, those things, and not understanding for me, the life that I came through, all the things and the obstacles. What you see today is only because of what I went through, and God allowed me. He breathed a life in me again and healed me. So I was able to tap into those gifts and those talents. So through all of my pain, here we are now and on a journey that I'm living proof that if you allow God to do what He needs to do and go through the process, He will make you over. He
will. He definitely will. Now, bringing that forward to talking about building ships, building those friendships and relationships. When you talk about, you know, going through those things and you think like life is over because you have broken up with that mate or that friendship that you've had for, what, 20, 30 years. You're thinking it's the end of the world, I can't go on. How can we look at life differently when we go through those changes, we go through those obstacles, and trying to rebuild new and better relationships? What's some of the tools we need to get ourselves back to that place of feeling as though, you know what, I can go back out there again and try to build those relationships with someone else?
Ooh, Lord. That is a power-packed question.
Well, you can kind of like dissect it.
Right. But it's still good that you're asking these questions, because let's just use this year as an example. There are some people who have already gone through the things that they have gone through from however age they know their life was impacted, changed. But this year alone, we have seen a tremendous move where we have been up and down in our emotions. and even some people having to shelter in place with their boo or their husband or wife, and they're like, what we doing here? I don't like you anymore. Like, I was getting away from you, and you know what? That was helping us to stay together. Let's keep that real. Right, so it comes down to a place where I have to say this. If you don't learn how to love who you are.
Say that again.
If you don't learn how to love who you are, then no man, no amount of money, no children, no other things that you could seek after is going to help you find your happy place, your peaceful place, your joyous, successful place in life.
You're right. So, but with saying that, you find so often, I'm sure you've heard so many times where people, they really look for that other person to complete them, to make them happy, to make them whole. So what are some things we can help them understand? You don't need someone. It's not about that person that's going to help you. It's about finding that within. But when you're in a place, how do you find that?
Right.
How do you dig through that stuff to know that, you know what, I am good enough.
Right.
I am okay with or without. How do you find the strength to do that?
Denise, let me tell you, I just started a course in January with people that came into my class. God told me to do it again. It's called Transition You in 90 Days.
See.
That came from my time of life of giving up. So I bring that up because that's where they were, that's where I was. And one of the things we talked about that giving you tools to help you understand is you've got to take ownership of who you are, what has happened to you. You have to accept your reality. When I say accept, I'm not saying take it in and saying this is how my life is going to be, but we have to learn how to admit things happen, admit we had faults, admit we were part of the issue, and stop passing blame on him, her, they, she, it, and everything else, and start looking at ourselves in the mirror and checking our own selves out. And I can say that because of where I was, and God had to take me through this place in 2012 that I didn't even know this is what he was doing. But here we are, years later, I'm talking about these things that help people because I was on that journey where I didn't know how to forgive. I wanted to blame everyone else for what happened to Lateka. I wanted to blame the molestation. Now let's talk about that quickly. Molestation, rape, we know that those are imposing forces added on to you that you did not ask for. But at the end of the day, if it's still not happening today, why do we still keep rehearsing it in our minds and learning how to get through it? It is a process. You're not going to get over it overnight. But we have to learn how to forgive. Ooh, how can you say that?
That is a powerful
forgive somebody who's trespassed against me, like, and mess my life up.
So you hear, I hear people say, I can forgive,
but I can't forget.
But I can't forget. Now, this may be different, but what do you think about that? Do you think, do you have to have both? Do you have to have both the forgiveness as well as forgetting to be able to really get to that place of starting to healing yourself? Or can you do it with one or the other?
So, in my opinion, this is a twofold answer for where I'm about to come. We go back to what we know in the Word where God says, you put it in the sea of forgiveness. I forgive you. It's in the sea of forgiveness. It's over. Well, here's a new disclaimer for you. You ain't God. I'm not God, okay? So, we are still human beings on this earth and dealing with our emotional self from time to time. So, for me, I had to learn how to forgive first. Forgive. But at the same time, it wasn't about forgetting. God does that for me. Like how I feel today, how I've been feeling for a few years, I forget about all that domestic violence. I forget about all the divorce, all the stuff and anguish that I've gone through because God healed me. And the only way he could heal me is if I was willing to forgive. But before I could forgive, I had to admit, take ownership for you, boo. You know you messed up. But we have to learn how to forgive to the place that you may not forget, but you use it. For me, honestly, if it comes back to my mind, because I have those moments that I have to push through, I have to fight through, but I use it as fuel to push me to my next place. You know how they say those stones they threw at me, those become my stepping stones. Thank you.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right. Girl. So, you know, just by when people just, when they see you, because you're beautiful, just beautiful, and the colors you have on, girl, they are beautiful. But you see her, but you listen to some of the things she's saying, you would not know some of the things that she's went through. And that's why the question I ask is, the next question is, how do you, when you're building those relationships, whether it's the friendships, let's talk about friendships first, because let's just stay with the friendships. When you're building friendships and you have all these layers of stuff behind you, underneath the skin, and now you're coming from a place that you're thinking you're healing yourself, you're healed, how do you go about getting that friendship at a place where you're not going back to that pain that you had before and not pulling back some of that old junk into those friendships? We want to build these strong friendships, people. We want these strong, lasting friendships. So how do you do that?
So let's go back to the word that you used when you said ships. You know, just ship, period. Let's just use the cruise line for an example. If you know that you have a destination you're trying to go to, you're going to pack your bags, right? And for us women, we like to pack everything just in case I do this, our shoes, just in case I do that. You know, we throw in a lot of stuff, I'm going somewhere with this, that we don't need, right? And we'll throw some things in when we remember how Bobby liked how we looked in that outfit, even though Bobby ain't there. But because of how we know it made Bobby feel when we put that outfit on, we like, maybe we can get a new boo on this ship. I'm going somewhere with that outfit. Right. Or, you know, I know you said friendship, so let's just bring it to the friend zone. Even with your girl, maybe she picked out that outfit, y'all were hanging out together. She like, girl, you know that outfit was banging. You're like, okay, she said I look good in that. One, because sometimes we don't learn how to be secure in who we are. So therefore, we can easily go back to what someone else has said or complimented to us about how we look or how we feel, as opposed to where we should be. So when you're thinking about these ships and you're packing your bags, pack enough, right? To enjoy your life, not to bring extra baggage with you. I understand the just in case situation, but don't do a just in case based on what someone else has said or what someone else has done. Why do I say that? Because let's bring it into the real world or the relationships. You then start bringing the old thought, the old mindset, the old way that you responded to your friend, the old way she hurt you, and it starts bringing up all these funny feelings if you haven't gotten over it. You know, so we have to learn how to dismiss what we know we shouldn't be added on to us. And I have to say this because something just came to me, which is we have to learn how to understand that people are who they are, but they are who they are for a reason. And you're not able to understand what has made them the way that they are, or what has created them from the start to the finish. People act out of character. People act out of emotions. And when we don't learn how to move into the next relationship with a clean slate. Like if I'm going to be your friend, I shouldn't be bringing, well, I'm, you know, dealing with these women. I'm not, because I'm basing it off of my other experiences. So, and I hear, so one of the things I heard you say is that we should not bring in extra baggage. Number one, in any relationship, whether we're building a friendship or we're building a relationship with a mate, do not bring in that extra baggage. Number two point I think I also heard you say is basically when you meet someone, don't try to change them. Oh God. They are who they are. You have to determine if that's someone that you want to bring into your space. Yes. Based on what they're giving you. Right. Based on what they're showing you, you have to determine that. So those are two things I think my audience
can take away with some of the tools they can use with building some stronger relationships / friendships. Now one of the things you just said at the end of that is when we talk about those girlfriends and us as women, sometimes it's challenging for women to have friends, and I don't understand why is that so challenging to have strong friendship within the female community. Can you help explain some of the thoughts or what your thoughts is about that?
Sure, because
your experience.
Right, yes, I do. I've been there.
And no names.
I'm not.
I just
I don't do that.
I'm just kidding.
But you know, Shaniqua.
Right.
Like, I don't know a Shaniqua.
Right.
So Shaniqua. I'm not talking about you.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, I used to be that woman that I didn't want to deal with women because of what I had already dealt with on how women had, you know, kind of like done me in the past. But I had to learn how to move through that. I'm gonna keep it 100. We have to learn how to be secure with us as women. To me, that's part of the major issues we have in supporting another person, or even wanting friendship with another person. And we also can be in a place where the expectations we have on someone else, what are you basing those expectations on anyway? Your old friendship?
Most of the time, you know they are. It's usually from some experience or something that they've had.
Or something they've seen in social media. Oh, they got it going on. And
friend goals. When they say husband goals or baby goals, friend goals. That's my friend goals. Yeah.
We come up with all kinds of stuff.
I know, but if it works, I guess. But we really need to look at it beyond the superficial of the hashtags and really look at what we can do to build these stronger friendships, especially, and I say this again, with the female, we can have a female that can walk by, and you know that they're looking good, or they just want to speak to them. Why is it so hard to give each other compliments? Why is it so hard for us to support one another and to have established those friendships through that support? Why is that?
Well, in my opinion, you can go back to the root cause of why. But it's one of those self-ownership, self-examinations that we have to do as individuals. But I do want to take it a little bit further. Let's do this, what I like to call the mirror syndrome. Where when I look at you, you got it going on, you look happy. I'm looking at the outward appearance, not necessarily knowing what you had to go through to look the way that you look. I don't know what's going on in your life. I'm just looking at the outward appearance. So when I'm looking at you, I'm automatically looking at my reflection. And my reflection is reminding me, girl, you so jacked up. You know, girl, she got it going. When you gonna get yourself together? You know, we have a tendency to do that. So therefore, we're not willing to say, girl, you got it going on. You look good. It goes back to that being secure in you. Learning how to love you. When you learn how to be secure in you, you learn how to complete yourself. It's never coming to another relationship. Oh, he completes me. She completes me. No, I'm 100, boo.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and what you bring to the table should be 100
or more.
So that means we overflowing in this thing.
Whether it be greater.
Right. Whether it be a marriage, whether it be a partnership, a friendship, and not set expectations. Allow you to be who you are. And allow me to judge you off of who you are and representing. Because if I start setting a certain expectation on you, what's going to happen? You're going to let me
You're going to be disappointed.
Yes.
And those expectations that we tend to set, whether it's on, again, a friendship or relationship, if you look back and kind of uncover some of those past relationships, some of those past situations, you will probably realize that you set the wrong expectations. Because when you don't have any expectations, you can't be disappointed. You can't be hurt, and you won't be frustrated. Like, why they're not changing, or why my girlfriend's not understanding what I'm doing? Why she's not there for me? You expected too much from that person when she's probably, or he's probably been showing you exactly who they are. As Maya Angelou has says, When a person shows you who they are, you what? Believe them.
You believe them.
Don't try to change it up at all. So another thing I want to ask you too, when they look at Facebook, and I hear people always talk about on Facebook, and I have to use this as an example, because this is where we are, social media or Instagram. They talk about how many followers you have,
right.
how many people, how many friends you have on your Facebook page. So when you see this and you hear people talk about, I have 2,000 friends and all that, does that really says that you really have those many friends?
No.
Should that really play a part into you saying that, hey, you know what, I got 2,000 friends, so you should be friends with me?
So I want to say this to your point, which is we have to stop using that word friend so loosely.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Right, because it's the same thing as using the word love so loosely and not really understanding. I've had conversations with some people before, and I even had to understand that, because we can get in our emotional place. Yes. Denise, let's keep it real. Yes. We're women. We just have those moments. We do. So what I had to learn, I can talk about me. I can talk about me and be honest, because you know what? Who gonna say something? It's about me. So, you know, in other words, basically, when I start moving forward looking at friends and categorizing my friends, there are some people in your life that there are your friend, but it may be my prayer friend. Yeah. It may be my shopping friend. It may be my tell everything to friend. It may be the one that's going to cry with me, laugh with me friend. Right. But if she or he is not doing what I think, those expectations again, I want to immediately put them to the side. Oh, they're not my friend. Right. You know, we have to understand where to put people. And social media, oh, please, if you're someone who is caught up in the numbers, please don't be.
Stop now.
It's called followers and friends followers for a reason. Right. It doesn't mean that they're your friend. And just because someone is on your social media page, if you haven't been intimate with me, meaning having a conversation with me, how would you know? Right. You're only going by what I show you on social media, which a lot of times people fluff up.
Yeah, well, we know some of the stuff that's on social media.
Yes. The worst.
It's not real at all. But one of the things, a point I want to make that I really want to highlight on, back to what you were saying about having those friends and also utilizing those friends for what their purpose may be. Like you have that prayer partner, or you may have that person that you can go talk to when it's something that is really painful that you want to share with, or you have that friend you can go traveling with. Yes. So I like to look at it, you can look at it this way. When you think of a car, you have tires, you have the steering wheel, and everybody can't be a steering wheel. Oh, come on. Everybody cannot be that tire. Just like a friend, you may have 5 friends, but they all cannot be that one person or that one thing to all the things that you need. Correct. So you have to make sure, or when you're being prayed for and asking for those friends, God is going to send you those friends that's going to supply those needs that you are needing. He's going to bring that one that's going to be that steering wheel, that one going to help guide you. So He's going to send you that one with that windshield wiper. When you're crying and have those tearful moments, she's going to be there to help wipe those tears away, to be supportive of you. Yes. When you got that friend that's going to be that engine, that she's going to be ready to go, travel, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. And that tire is going to be that motivator, that one's going to keep you moving along. Yes. So that's how you really have to look at when you're looking for these friends. Yes. You have to kind of put it in that kind of analogy, and then you won't have those high expectations and getting disappointed. Like, well, why is this friend not doing all that they need to be doing for me? Because that's not what their purpose was. So let's go back again. So tell me, friendships. Do you have to have a lot of friends?
You're blessed to have one good friend. All right, and use that loosely. But I have to say this, in order to have a good friend, you first, as the word tells us, need to be a friend yourself. Yeah. Friend yourself. And if you don't know the definition of friend, if you always go to someone and expect them to be there for you every time you call or do this and other, are you doing that for them? Right.
You gotta be, it's almost like that mirror reaction. So whatever it is that you're wanting them to do, you should be able to also provide that back to them. Right. I never ask, or I'm not going to be that person that would be more than what that person is giving me. Now that may sound kind of bad, but you're showing them who you are And this is where we are, so I'm going to give you exactly the same energy that you're giving me. Therefore, I'm not getting any expectations. I'm not being disappointed, or I'm not being frustrated. It doesn't say that I don't love you anymore, any less. But that's just where we are with that friendship. So, this is the last thing we bring it on back with friendships and building those things. So what is some more tools you think we can share, that you can share from your experience? Because you have a lot that you really, you just talking just now with you going through a stage where you thought giving up was the answer, but you still pressed through that. And maybe that has something to do with friendships, or could have been relationships, don't know, but we don't have to talk about that. But what is coming from that place, and being able to pull from that to use the tools that you have to be the person that you are, and to help have those long-lasting, fulfilling friendships. How are you able to do that?
I'll be more than happy to talk to you about that, because I had to walk through that, and partly what was causing the depression, what was causing the spiral of out of control for me emotionally was, one, we love to be in a position where we have control, right? So we know that's part of the issue, when we don't have control on how life is handling us things. But at the same time, when you have friends, those are those expectations that you have set. And then when you start speaking to some friends and you hear about it later, and it's very personal, and then how people perceive you, and all of those things help put me in that place, because I wasn't secure in myself, and I was hoping to have friends, hoping someone would be there for me and all this other stuff. There are just some things when you go through in life, you look for your friends, and people are going through.
They are.
So they're not God. They cannot always be there for you. So what I want to be able to help share with your audience, to give some tools with that, is to understand that you first got to be a friend. Be a friend to you first. Right? Learn how to be good to you first. Learn how to be true to you first. And not pull in everybody as your friend. Knowing where to categorize them. They may just be your associate. Stop trying to give everyone your meat.
All of you.
Right.
All of you.
Because they can't handle everything that you're giving to them. And then at the same time, we have to learn how to... It goes back to, people have a hard time, because I was there, I had a hard time trusting someone else because of what other people were bringing to the table. And it goes back to what we were just saying a while ago, stop bringing baggage. And before I could be friends with others, honestly, after that place of just giving up on everything and not trusting nobody, I had to learn, because God dealt with me. He taught me how to allow people to show you who you are, show you who they are, but at the same time, people will only, what is the way how I want to say this? People will give to you what you allow them. So if you keep allowing people to say things or do things that you really don't want, they're going to continue to do those.
So it's almost like this.
I'm trying to find the word.
So basically what people would do, they would do to you only what you allow them to do.
Right.
And I've had this conversation many of times with other people, and they wonder why they're allowing this person to do this, or why this person do that, because you allowed that. Once you you give that allowance away, that right away, they're going to continue to do it until you put a stop to that. Till you say, you know what, I'm not going to allow this anymore. So for me, with bringing this on in, some healthy tips that we can help the audience, the Melting Pot Chat Sweeties, I like to call them, what we can do to help them have these healthy, long-lasting friendships. And one of the things I'm going to start by saying is, what I talked about earlier, when you see that sister girl, when you see that friend, and you just, they're walking down, and you know, girl, you're wearing that shoes, or girl, you're looking good in that outfit, or just say hello. Encourage one another. Encourage one another. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. So you can give it away. It's free. It's no big, it's not going to cost anything. The other thing we can do is support
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
We need to start supporting each other.
Yes.
So what's some other, I named two.
Mhm.
So can you name a couple of more things you think we can do to also help bring those stronger relationships, friendships? I say support and encourage.
Mhm.
What you got?
Okay, and also think about what they may be going through and
Mhm.
not take it to heart.
Mhm.
If for some reason they're not giving you back that energy that you need, or the conversation that you need, or the fun time, or the venting time, think about what's on their plate at the same time. And also reach out. Don't just text somebody to death or inbox them. Pick up the phone. It works both ways. Okay?
Oh, wow, that's great. So another thing to piggyback off that, you can also, we can do listen to each other. Listen, which is what which is part of what you said, yes, and being trustworthy of each other.
Be a friend.
Be a friend
that you want in return.
Yes. Let me tell you, Lateka S. Carter, she don't know this yet, but I'm going to go ahead and tell her now. She's coming back.
Oh, I am.
She's coming back. She got some more stuff to tell because we're doing a series of relationships.
Okay.
So the next series is going to be in the next week or so. We'll be talking about the next step of relationship with men, and we'll have a panel coming along. That's going to be interesting.
That is going to be. It's always good.
That's going to be yes, and they have the men on the panel as well.
Oh, that's what I'm talking
That's
about.
going to be good.
Yeah, I love that.
So listen, so Lateka S. Carter,
Yes.
thank you.
Oh,
You
it's
have
been my
been a
pleasure.
joy, and I love your story. Love everything that you're doing. You guys go check her out. Give them how they can get in touch with you.
Sure.
And your beautiness.
Oh,
Go ahead.
She is awesome and amazing. So if you're not following her, this is your first time following her, please make sure you follow Denise Caldwell. Follow her her social media tags. This is the first thing that you can do as supporting, right? What we just been talking about. All right, so back to me. Okay, you can find me under my name on everything, Lateka S. Carter, or even Divas, D-I-V-A-S, which stands for Dynamic, Intelligent, Vivacious, Ascending Sister, Boss Lady. So social media, Facebook is Lateka S. Carter, Instagram, Lateka S. Carter, my website, LatekaSCarterMinistries.org. My business website is KingdomDesignAndProduction.com. So you can reach out to me. All you have to do, like I say, Google my name.
Google her. Google her. Thank you so much, Lateka. It's been a blessing.
Yes.
And again, she's coming back, y'all. No, the last guest I had, I said the same thing. So these guests are just showing out. Coming with some great topics and great information. So again, thank you for coming out. We're getting ready to go to our next segment, folks. Just stick around, hang out, and we're going to be talking about styling on a budget with Denise. I got you. I promise. I'm not going to break your pocket on this one. Stay tuned. Thank you, guys.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I enjoyed this.
Thank you guys for coming back, and this is Melting Pot Chat, and this is the last segment of my show. I'm so happy. You know why? Because I get to talk about something that I really, really enjoyed. Not that I did not enjoy the other topic with Lateka S. Carter. She was great. That was wonderful. All those was great. But everyone knows that fashion is my passion. I said I was going to come to you on how to style on a budget. And when I say budget, everything here that you see right here is for the low. We'll say under $50. Can we say that? Let me tell you how you can do that. So what I do, I bargain shop. I go for those sales. I do not like to pay full price for too many things, especially when it comes to my pieces that I bring together. And for curvy girls, don't be afraid to wear those bright colors. I know sometimes people like to wear those blacks and those sort of things. You don't have to do that. Color is your friend, and it's all about how you bring those colors together. Me, for instance, I like bright colors. Bright personality, so this is great. My beads, I think I got these here for like $5, $10 if I'm not mistaken. The dress that I have on, it actually came with a different belt, and I'll tell you that a little bit later. I didn't really care for that belt, and I'll tell you why I styled it the way that I did. But this dress here, I got this online at one of the stores. I won't quite tell you that yet, but I will tell you on the Melting Pot Chat. It'll all have information on where I got each piece from and how much I paid for, so you can get a breakdown of that. But the dress here, it was actually a lot fuller. And I don't like to wear fuller dresses, so I kind of said, you know what, I want to do a belt. And as I was looking, I didn't want to do a blue belt. I wanted to add a pop color. So what you can do Pick a color. They have a lot of belts on, of course, Amazon. This is where I will tell you this one did come from Amazon. Both of them came from Amazon. And I like to layer them. These are actually 2 belts in one. So I put the blue one on first, and I wanted to have a pop color, so I wanted to still show the blue and the yellow. So I layered them both together. So that is why you see the 2 different belts, because I have on 2 belts. What a concept, right? So I did that, and then also with the dress, like I said, it was a lot fuller than I really wanted it to be. So I figured I would put a belt on. And I understand some people may say, but I don't have a waistline. That's okay, because you have to find what suits your body type. If your legs is what's really good, then you wear your shorter dresses and maybe with the asymmetric type dresses. If you feel as though your waist is the one you want to insinuate, then you do like I do. You wear the belts. Tighten that waistline up so they can see those curves, girl. And also, don't forget, always pop that collar. Then also what I did, I just added a little color here for my necklace. And this is actually a $5 necklace, but people think I really paid a lot of money for it. No, girl, we don't pay a lot for this over here. Well, I use my money for other things, investing, that sort of stuff, stocks. That's what I'm using mine for. So this all here probably came to a total of, like I said, maybe $50. And my shoes, take a look at the shoes, the clear. Yes, I've seen some of the expensive name brand ones, and I said I refuse to pay $100 for those shoes. These, I can tell you, I got them for the low amount of $25 or $23, if I'm not mistaken. And how I finish off the whole look, I got a purse to go with this, honey. Let me tell you about that purse. Now, let's be clear. That's not part of the budget, but I like the purse so well that it went with it, so I had to bring in Mr. Louis. Yes, I did. So I did the Louis. That one doesn't count as far as your budgetary item, I understand, but everything else does. So, ladies, if you want to look good on a budget, you can do it. You just have to really look and search for it. Add those pop colors, as I did, my yellow belt, my necklace, and then it'll give you the whole look. Now, we're going to wrap this up. Again, I thank you guys for joining me at the Melting Pot Chat with Denise. I'm Denise. We'll be coming back to you again real soon to talk about some more topics, the relationship. We're going to really get into that. But before you leave, I want to tell you one thing. Love each other. Smile is free, and you guys have a beautiful, loving day and a beautiful month. See you guys soon. Take care. Thank you.